as far as grief counseling, when Peter got sick, I actually went to a place called the Gathering Place in Beechwood. There's one on the east side here, and there's one on the west side. And the Gathering Place was formed many years ago, and it is for people who are, they say touched by cancer. I hate that word, touched. You're not touched by cancer. You're beaten by cancer. So I went to the Gathering Place, and I went to a support group, and it was for people who were going through exactly what I was going through. I went there every Tuesday. It was my lifeline. And then after Peter died, you actually, the way the program works is after your loved one dies, you go back the following week after you bury your loved one, and you talk about the death experience, because people want to know. Everybody in that group is going to be faced with that sometime with their loved one. Not necessarily their loved one will die. Hopefully they won't. So you go back and you tell your loved one's death story, and you say goodbye to the group, and then you move on to the Bridges group, the grievance. And I remember saying to everybody when I left there, I hope I don't see any of you for a very long time, because if I saw them again, it would be because they lost their loved one as well, and they ended up in the grievance group. And as it turns out, I met a very dear friend in that grievance group. She showed up 2 months later. She had lost her husband, and we are very close to this day. I don't know what I would have done without the Gathering Place. I needed support, and I needed also, it was very comforting to know that somebody else was going through this, and I listened to their stories, and I still had, compassion for them. I had much more compassion for them than I ever would have a year before that. We were there for each other, and we would check on each other. I would call if I knew that somebody was having a treatment. They didn't want us to have each other's phone numbers, but we took them anyway. So I would call and say, how did it go with your husband? And we just kept each other going. It was great. It was very important to me